haven't done that yet. And so tomorrow, hopefully, I'll have an update, or we can talk after this. But I know that you all asked this question before, so I haven't forgotten. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you. If I could go back to something my Fox colleague asked yesterday, and that's about the who pays for this. So I did a search last night for the phrase "fully paid for," coming from that podium and from in President Biden's speeches during the last year and a half. I found scores of them. I promise I won't read them all, but just a couple. You quoted experts saying that the package referencing the IRA would, quote, quickly and noticeably bring down healthcare costs for families, would be more than fully paid for. Jen Psaki talked about on February 2nd, he's committed to sustainable and responsible policy and ensuring that our long-term investments are fully paid for, like Build Back Better. Brian Deese talked about packages that would be fully paid for across time. The president, in multiple speeches, talked about this bill. This is in December, referring to the BBB, is fully paid for. It won't increase the deficit. Anyway, the question is, do you all believe that this student loan program is fully paid for? And if it's not, why does the president think it was important to have all of his other spending priorities fully paid for to be fiscally responsible, but not this one?
So we do, so this, again, this is the question that my colleague here, Ambassador, got. So we have to get a better sense, right, of what we're talking about as far as cost. Wait, let me just say that out loud. She is the domestic policy advisor, and when she was asked that question, so I just want to iterate what she said. But we do believe it will be fully paid for because of the work that this president has done with the economy, because of what you just said. Well, what I just said is what we have done to bring down the deficit reduction. That matters, and the work that we'll continue to do. Look, when you look at IRA, it is also that $300 billion deficit is going to matter, right? When you think about that $1.7 trillion by the end of this fiscal year is going to matter as well. And also, here's the thing: when we talk about the pause being lifted, that's going to bring $50 billion per year back into the Treasury, right? That was actually not happening throughout almost for 2 years now. So that's going to be coming back at the same time that basically people are getting these benefits from this plan.
Just to clarify, the previous, whether it was the Build Back Better proposals or IRA or the infrastructure bills, those were, in the words of the administration anyway, fully paid for internally.
Yeah.
You're saying that this one, because of the benefits that of deficit reduction, you're okay raising or lessening that deficit reduction with this proposal because of the work that's been done in the past, because this one doesn't have any pay-fors, right?
I mean,
there are no mechanisms that internally to this that would raise money at the same time that it's
here's what I would say. I mean, the question was asked to me earlier about how there's some Democrats who are not happy with this, and so because they either wanted more or they didn't want it at all, right? And what the president did, the step that he took, was to do this in a fiscally responsible way. This is what we believe. This is why it took us this time to do the legal review, to look at the process. This is why we didn't do the 50,000. We did up to 20,000. This is why my colleagues here at the podium said, well, let's see who actually takes advantage of this. Then we'll have a better sense of what this is actually going to cost. But when you think about the $50 billion that goes back into the Treasury, when you think about the lowering the deficit that we have, which is historic, the 1.7 trillion, the 350 billion the first year of the president's administration, that matters. And it is, you know, it is one of those things that, you know, always welcome this conversation, but what we have done is fiscally responsible. What the last administration did was not. It just was not. And what they did with cutting taxes for the wealthy, 85% of folks making 80. It went to 85% of folks who were making more than 75,000 a year. We're actually doing the opposite. And it should matter that this president is trying to give some breathing room for people who've been literally crippled by this by this pandemic, by what has happened the last couple of years. And so again, the way we see it is we've done it in a fiscal balanced, responsible way. We will see who takes advantage of this, but this is going to help 43 million people. And just think about it, if people are saving a little bit of money, right, they are going to go buy that house. They're going to start a family. This matters in so many ways.
So that matters more than keeping the deficit lower by including something that would offset whatever the cost might be.
Yeah, I mean, look, we don't believe that it's going to increase the deficit, because what we're saying that is the 1.7 trillion, right? Is
right.
We've done the work, right, to lower the deficit. Also, $50 billion per year is going to go back.
But that $50 billion was already. I mean, it's already was
yeah,
there.
but we were getting we were getting zero. The Treasury was getting zero for the last 2 years.
But they still owed that money.
I understand that. I get what you're saying, but there's also an argument that I'm making as well, is that we're putting money back into the Treasury, which matters as well. That is going to happen.
A judgment on which is better or not. I'm just trying to understand. I think, as some of my colleagues are.
Yeah.
If what you guys are saying here is basically the president's made a determination that helping people with their debt is important enough, and in your words, matters enough to spend what could be, estimates of $300, $400, $500 billion, or without explicitly saying where that money is coming from, and that will, obviously, and that you're willing to use the deficit savings that you have claimed to do that. And I guess that's what I'm trying to understand.
No, and I'm trying to explain to you how it will offset, how all of this would be offset once the pause is lifted, and also once this process with the student loan is also done. So there is a process here, right, that is, we believe, is going to offset that. Right? Okay. I know. All right. Well, I'm glad that I've exhausted